Hi, everybody. This is my quick day two recap of the Diddy trial for those of you that don't have a spare 8 hours to waste. These trials are really, really long, but this is the condensed version of what happened. So let's get into it. There are only two defendants today, two people that took the stand. That's the escort, Daniel Phillips, and then Cassie. Today was really Cassie's big day. Now, all that Daniel Phillips had to basically say is they wanted to establish that he had interactions with Cassie without Diddy. I feel like they were setting him up or probably asking questions that the defense is going to talk about some time down the road. But he said no, he never really talked to Cassie outside through emails, anything like that without Diddy. They read a couple text messages like, didn't you say this? But it really wasn't anything. It was just finishing up yesterday. Let's get to the big news, Cassie. It was speculation Cassie was going to get on the stand today, and she did. Now, before she even got on the stand, they tried to prevent these videos being shown. Uh, we didn't get to see the videos, but it sounds like they were freak off videos. Uh, the defense said that this is like inappropriate. It's borderline corn. They didn't want these into exhibit. Uh, they said that they just wanted to show still pictures so they can keep everything. What's the word he used? I can't remember, the clean, decent, professional, that type of thing. But no, they end up showing the videos. But I guess the jury had on headphones and was allowed to hear, and no one else was allowed to hear. All right, so that was weird. So let's get to the stand. Okay, she started out talking about their relationship. She said she met Diddy when she was 19 years old, and that was in 2006. Of course, about her music. So she signed a deal with him, a 10 album deal. That's unheard of. That is unheard of. And if you ask me, Diddy zeroed in on her, knew what he wanted, and that 10 album deal for me was a part of the grooming process. People say he didn't even know her like that, Sharrell. No, 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 no. You don't know. I wouldn't call him a predator, but men know. They sniff out women really quickly, and they know who they can break and they know who they can't break. That's my opinion. Now let's get back to being neutral. Sorry. She talked about how first everything was great. He would take her to all these great places, and then it was great until it wasn't so great. It started out with arguments, and then the arguments got more intense until the arguments got violent. She said he would smash me in the head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, and stomp me. If she didn't answer his phone calls, he would send the staff over to see where she was. She said he had huge mood swings and surveillanced her behavior. Somebody was always watching her. Someone was always having easy access to her. He wanted to know where she was 24 hours a day. Now, how are you a music mogul and you're worried about her 24 hours a day? I call it grooming. Okay. Then he started forcing her into these sexual things. According to her, he's the one who taught her or told her about oral. At first, I thought, girl, come on, you don't know about oral. But, she says she didn't, so she didn't. And I guess he showed her, and then, until he suggested the freak off. She said at first she didn't want to do it, but she didn't want to upset him. And so she did it.
Well, she was 19 and a young singer, and Combs signed her to a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Records, so a long-term deal, and she said, Eva, that she only made one album. Otherwise, the freak-offs took up so much of her time that it stifled her music career, but it controlled her financially, she said. So she felt like her livelihood, her career, her life really depended on Sean Combs and keeping him happy. Otherwise, she said she feared what might happen.
Is that coercion? It is in some type of way. You don't want to do it, but oh, it'll be fun. Don't worry about it. Just it'll be the best time of your life. Open your mind a little. That kind of stuff is coercion. And remember, if you cannot prove force that he forced her to do these things, then you don't have a ex trafficking charge. If you can prove that he did it, then he has the charge. Now, this is what she says went on. Of course, there's no physical proof of him pushing her at this point. They might have, I don't know, text messages. We'll see. They went over what the freak offs were again, like we didn't know. It was a multi-day drug fuel X parties where Combs controlled every detail. She testified she often stayed awake for days. She said it made her humiliated and she felt violated. She took the drugs offered to her and that were there because she wanted to mentally detach. I've heard this a lot from prostitutes. A lot of them, that goes hand in hand. They take the drugs so they can do what they need to do. She said, I felt disgusting and I was humiliated. I couldn't tell anybody about it. And that includes her family. Okay. She talked about how controlling he was. He would take control of her appearances, her outfits, her nails. We know he has another fetish for white fingernails, especially during the freak offs. She said if he disapproved of anything, he would confiscate her belongings. Okay. According to her, there was times where, and she testified to this yesterday, he would have others urinate on her. She said she didn't want to do it, and sometimes it made her vomit. It would make me vomit, but she had to do it. Now, a lot of people are saying, girl, stop. You did that because you wanted to. I just want you guys to imagine a pimp and the prostitute, how he would put his paws on you so bad till you were fearful. That's a part of manipulation, being fearful. Okay. And I believe she said one time she got on the floor and he did it and escort did it, urinated on her at the same time. And we know from yesterday, one of the escorts did it in her mouth. Ew. She said that she had a role in planning the freak offs. This is where the Diddy supporters really had in their mind solidified that she wasn't a victim. She was a conspirator because she admitted to planning them. She would call the escorts. She would, act like she wanted to do it. And so if you're a Diddy supporter, you're like, girl, don't come on here now acting like you were so upset about it because you put it together. Now, before the rumors were KK did it, and she may have still did it. But today on the stand, Cassie took accountability for planning the freak offs. She said she would arrange the hotel rooms and the escorts using aliases. Combs requires specific body types. For the freak offs that she got. They also said that they got some of the escorts off of Craigslist. Now, if you was watching my live, Craigslist, that's like a discount. That's like a discount escort. I thought you would go to some kind of Heidi Fleiss type of escort service, but no, they went to Craigslist. Okay. And then I thought, How come we haven't heard about this before? They're picking randoms off of Craigslist. They got paid handsomely, anywhere from $4,000 to $15,000. So if you are a not a high class streetwalker, if you are a Craigslist streetwalker and somebody offers you $4,000 for one performance, $8,000 for two performances, 15,000 whole day, that's where he paid for their silence. Okay. And then they talked about the hotel incident again, at the Intercontinental Hotel incidents. She said that it happened after she tried to leave a freak off early. That's when we seen what we seen. She said Combs hit her and she fled the scene in fear. She also described this feeling of worthlessness each time she did it. It got worse and worse and worse. Now, that's her testimony, basically, in a nutshell today. It was riveting, very riveting. If you are a Diddy supporter, you were nauseated because you feel like she was putting on. Why didn't she leave earlier? Why didn't she mention this before? Here's the big one. Why did she take the $30 million payoff? So you've got Cassie sympathizers. That's what I am right now. And then you have the Diddy supporters that look at it from a different angle. Now, I'm glad I'm not the jury, because eventually they've got to come to a decision. But tomorrow, she's expected to testify again. I don't know when, so it's being rumored that they have damaging tapes or videos of Cassie putting her hands on him and breaking his nose. Times when the cops were called on her, putting her hands on him. So I thought they were going to talk about this tomorrow, but it looks like they may bring it up when it's the defense's turn. Okay, not just for a quick cross-examination. I mean, when they lay out their case. So how do I think she did today? She did really, really well. If you were a Cassie supporter, she cried on the stand. She cried on the stand. But if you are not a Cassie supporter, you were really agitated and you really think she was just putting it on real smooth and thick. So that's where we are. That's what's going on. Trial will resume tomorrow. And then, I might come back with some different feelings. I am supporting Cassie, but I keep telling you, I am open and I'm going to listen with a open heart. I'm willing to change. I want to really be neutral and then make my decision. But as of yet, I have not changed my mind. But that's because it was her turn. She took the stand and, of course she's going to explain things her way. Now I want to hear the opposite side. All right, you guys, please keep doing it. You guys are leaving your comments in the comment section in a very respectful way, because, some of y'all was cutting up in the chat. Okay, y'all wanted to argue with the people that said Cassie was full of it. Y'all wanted to argue with the supporters. It almost went down. I had to get control of the chat. Like, y'all cut it out. But we're allowed to feel the way that we feel. And you can say that in my comment section. Just make sure it's in a respectful way. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Now, interestingly, she talked a lot about not wanting him to break up with her. Now, whether that was because she thought he might get violent or because she would lose some of the life that she had acquired, she didn't really say. But we know that the defense is expected to argue that, sure, Sean Combs and Cassie had a toxic, violent relationship. The defense has called her a strong, adult woman who made a voluntary choice.